Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, my name is Courtney. Today I am completing my third video in my 3 for 3 series, and I'm super excited because my good friend Kristen K is also doing a video with 3 awesome Valentine DIYs. I will link her video down below in the description box, so make sure you check it out after you're done watching mine. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. This DIY was inspired by an Argyle Valentine sweater that I saw on Pinterest, and I wanted to try to recreate it into a wreath. So to start, I've got this green wreath form that I picked up from Hobby Lobby. This was a 13.8 inch wreath form. I do believe Dollar Tree does sell these foam wreath forms. The first thing I did was paint it with some Waverly chalk paint in the color Steel. While my wreath form was drying, I took a piece of pink felt and red felt. These both came from Hobby Lobby. Their original price was 33 cents, but they happened to be half off, so I got them for 16 cents each. And I needed to make some small hearts out of these. So I just took a wooden heart that I had in my stash to use as a template and a fabric marker, and I traced around it. I wasn't quite sure how many hearts I needed of each color, so I started off by tracing around this heart 10 times for the red and 10 for the pink, so that would give me a total of 20 hearts. Now it's time to do the time-consuming part, which was to wrap my wreath form with some yarn. So this Yarn Bee yarn, gray yarn, came from Hobby Lobby, and all I did was take the end, I tied it off, and then I proceeded to wrap. And I wanted it to still kind of have a sweater vibe to it, so I literally just wrapped one piece at a time, making sure they were pushed together until I got the entire wreath form wrapped just one time around with the yarn. To finish off the wreath, I cut the yarn, and then I just grabbed a piece of where I started, a piece of the yarn, and I knotted it off, just tied it in a knot, trimmed off the extra, and then grabbed my hot glue gun just to kind of secure it down and give it a little smush there. And then it was a matter of deciding how many of these hearts I wanted, how far did I want them spaced. At first I thought I didn't want very many, but then I thought I kind of liked the look of having more hearts. So in the end, I ended up using 8 of the red hearts and 8 of the pink. Once the hearts were all laid out, I took my hot glue gun and I tacked down the center of each heart to the wreath form, and then I was ready to start working on my crisscross on each of the hearts. So to do this, I took my yarn and tacked it to the back of the wreath form with some hot glue, and I started with the criss, we'll call it that. And I went all the way around, just going across each heart one time. I secured it off, and then the other one I did the cross, and so I ended up with X's on each of the hearts. The final step here was I took my hot glue gun and tacked down just the tips of the hearts. The tops of the hearts were good with the yarn kind of pushing it down, but I did want those little tips of the hearts to be snug against the wreath form. So hot glued those down, and then this wreath was ready to be hung up. This DIY is something I have been wanting to make. It's a little set of wooden people that represent my family. There are tons of variations of this, but what I decided to do was to go with the round look. So I picked up 2 different size dowel rods from Hobby Lobby, but you could also get these squared off versions of the dowel rods. And for the measurements on the large dowel rod, I'm cutting 2 pieces. One of them was 5 inches and one of them was 4.5 inches long. Then for the smaller dowel rod, that's going to represent my 3 kids. I cut one at 3 1/4 and then 2 at 3 inches. For my paint colors, I picked pink, red, and gray. So for my 2 daughters, I painted them with a light pink color. For the little stick person that represents me, I went ahead and did red because why not? I have red hair. And then for my son and my husband, I painted them gray. Now originally I had a real light gray and I just didn't like it very much. So I did go back in and paint it a little bit darker. To attach the heads, I used wooden beads that are flat on the bottom, and I used 2 different sizes. I just decided to go ahead and use hot glue, but if you want to make it sturdier, I would recommend going ahead and using some wood glue. The last thing that I needed to paint was a wooden heart, and I wasn't quite sure if I wanted a larger one or a smaller one, so I went ahead and painted them both white. To get my pieces stuck together, I just opted to use some hot glue and I just tacked them where they were touching each other so that they would stick together. And then I took some brown rope and I wrapped it around the little family, and I hot glued a white heart to the center of the rope where it met. However, I remembered after the fact that I wanted to write on the white heart, so I ended up ripping off the white heart, wrote down established 1999, and then hot glued that back on. And then the 2 ends of the rope, I just opted to fray them, and that's it. This is my little family, perfect for a tier tray or even just a little bookshelf. Now for this DIY, there's actually 2 different DIYs, but they're pulled together in the end. So I started with some Sculpey clay. This is oven baked clay, and I got a tan color, and my goal here was to roll it out to where it was kind of thick, and I used a heart cookie cutter and I cut out 3 hearts. Once the larger 3 hearts were cut out, I rolled out the dough, or not the dough, the clay again, and I cut 3 smaller hearts. I also needed some color oven baked clay, and I got this cute little kit on Amazon. It was less than $25. It came with tons of colors, tools, this neat little storage thing. So I pulled out red, white, and pink. I rolled those out, and then I took that smaller cookie cutter that I used before, and I cut out 1 heart in white, 1 heart in pink, and 1 heart in red. All the clay pieces were all punched out and I was ready to assemble and then get these put into the oven. So what I ended up doing was the 3 larger hearts that I cut out of tan. Each one of them got one of these smaller colored hearts to kind of make it look like a fondant icing on top. And I just stuck it down on there, kind of pressed it, and they adhered pretty well. So the larger hearts each got those, and then the 3 smaller ones I just baked plain. I'm interrupting this DIY message to show you my problem. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, you know what's been going on at my house. This DIY needs an oven. I'm currently in my kitchen, and you might notice it's getting remodeled and I have no oven. So I am not gonna let that deter me. We do have a toaster oven, so these little puppies are gonna go in the toaster oven. So let's get them in there. Because I wasn't sure how this whole toaster oven thing was gonna work, I started off by putting them in there at 130 degrees for 15 minutes. That wasn't quite long enough, so I turned it up to 160, did it for another 15 minutes, and it worked out great. When they came out, I let them cool down inside of the toaster oven, and then I pulled them out. For the 3 smaller cookies, I knew I wanted to use some white glue sticks. You guys have seen me do DIYs with those. They look just like icing when you squirt it out. So I just put white hot glue on the cookies and used these faux sprinkles that I got on Amazon. I will try to link everything I can down below in the description box and sprinkle the sprinkles all over the white hot glue. I wanted to make something really cute to display my cookies in. So you might remember a couple years ago I made a Dollar Tree farmer's market and then kind of refreshed another one. So I wanted to make kind of a mini farmer's market stand to put these cookies in. I grabbed a wooden crate and one of the little mini wooden pallets from Dollar Tree and I painted them white. I also grabbed 2 long dowel rods from Dollar Tree and I stained them with some brown wax. I was now ready to assemble my stand, so I started by taking the 2 dowel rods and I didn't cut them in half. I cut it to where one piece was shorter than the other. To get these secured, I simply took some hot glue and put it in the corner of each, or in the corners of the 4 corners of the crate, and I just glued the dowel rods directly into there, and then for the pallet, I just hot glued that to the tops of the dowel rods. Now my stand is white because I wanted to be able to use it for multiple holidays, but you could go a little more Valentine-y and paint it pink or even red. I wanted to make a little pennant banner to hang on the front of it, but I didn't want to attach it with twine. So what I did was I cut a strip of fabric. This fabric came from Hobby Lobby. I cut a bunch of triangles and then I just hot glued the triangles directly together and then lightly tacked it to the front of my stand. To finish up my little display here, I wanted to make a little sign that said cookies for sale. So I have one of these little signs from Dollar Tree and I just took a Sharpie marker. I opted just to handwrite cookies for sale, and then I attached a little bamboo skewer to make it be able to stand up. Inside of my farmer's market stand, I did put a piece of cardboard to kind of raise it up a little bit, stuffed some raffia, and then arranged all my cookies, and then this was ready to display. And there you have it, the third video in my 3 for 3 series. Let me know down below which one of these DIYs was your favorite. And in the last video, I asked for love story movie suggestions. You guys gave me tons of great suggestions. Today, I want to know, when it comes to Valentine's Day and you get a little treat, do you prefer to get flowers or do you prefer chocolates and sweets? Let me know down below in the comments. Don't forget to go check out Kristen K's video. She's got 3 more fun Valentine DIYs for you. As always, thank you so much for watching, guys. Here are some more videos that you might enjoy, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!